Hi, so the first thing we're asked to do is to prove that all the tables have imported and that at least one of the tables is available and contains data. I'm just gonna go right ahead and use our database Black Cat Cafe. And we could do show tables. Then we could demonstrate that the tables all have the data. I'm gonna choose menu. As you can see, all of the data is within the menu table. After that, for part one, we're asked to what was the average preparation time for all orders. So for this, I did select average orders prep time from orders, and then I didn't really have to specify anything else because it's set for the all orders. And as you can see, the average prep time is 6.725 minutes. After this, we were asked which employee prepared the fewest orders. Um, I used a count function that counted the orders ID, and then I also selected employee ID, and then from orders, and then I did group by employee. That way it counted the number of orders ID that correspond to each employee ID, and as we could see, employee with the ID 29 was the one who prepared the least amount of orders with just one order that person prepared. Lastly, for this part A, we're asked to what is the name of the employees who refunded the most money. Let me just copy and paste this query line. So for this one, I did select count, and then I did from orders, I did coupons issued, and then from the same orders table, I did employee ID, and then from the employee table, I did employee first name, and then because we're selecting from orders and employee tables, we did from orders and employee, and then we specified where where the coupons issued are equal to Y, and we just want to make sure that we're not counting all the rows. We only want to count the rows where a coupon was issued. And then I also specified that we wanted the employee ID from the orders table to be equal to the employee ID from the employee table. And then we just did group by employee ID. That way we'd know how many coupons were issued for each employee who made a drink. And as we could see that there's a tie between employee with the name Count and employee Jin. So both of those had 3 coupons issued for drinks that they made. For part B, the first question asks us to create a procedure that helps hire new employees for a specific store. And then for this, I'm not going to go in and insert it already because it's going to tell me that the procedure was already created. But as you can see, I created this procedure and I named it new employee. And within that, it took into account ID, first name, and last name. And then I'll explain right now why I just did three components. So it inserted into employee, it set their employee ID into the ID given within the procedure, and then it set the employee first name equal to the first name that was provided again in the procedure, and then same thing goes for the last name. It set the employee last name equal to the last name given by the procedure. Then after that, we were left with the employee ID manager, and then the cafe ID. Those are both 2 because we know that they're going to specifically be a part of that Galactic City Cafe. And at that Galactic City Cafe, this is the manager ID, and that is the cafe ID for that specific one. So because this was already information that was known, we didn't need to include it within our procedure. And then same thing goes for employee ID. This is the employee ID is just we just concatenate the given last name, and then we add the @blackcat.cafe. So we also didn't need to specifically put that within our procedure because we could just create it within the outside of the procedure information. Second, we were asked to test the procedure and prove that it worked. So I did call new employee, and then I just gave it the ID, first name and last name, but I'm just going to go right ahead and do it again because there's no harm in demonstrating that it does work. This time I'm going to give it the ID 34. I'm just going to give it my first name as well as my last name. Let me fix that. And as we could see, that worked. It says that one vote was affected, so we could just do select. from employee, just to demonstrate that that did actually create it. And as you could see, we had a previous John Doe that we made, and then also the new one that we just made. And again, it does say that the employee ID manager and the cafe ID are both 2, and then it also just went right ahead and made the email for me as well. For part C, we had to build a user account for Mr. Jin, and then I just did that right here with this line, and we could after that I selected the users, and we could see that this user actually was created, so that's perfect. Secondly, we were asked to add an owner column to the menu table and assign only hot menu items to this user. So I did alter table menu, and then I added the column, so we could just go right ahead into MySQL and I'll demonstrate how that column was actually created properly. As you can see, there is an owner column, and then Mr. Jin is the owner for all beverages, for all hot beverages. So those are beverages that are 160 menu temperature. That was done correctly. And then lastly, we were asked to log in as Mr. Jin and demonstrate that he could only it says that he could only access employees' northern cafes, but we weren't given the region of the cafes as information. So I'm assuming that we were supposed to just make sure that he only had access to hot beverage information. So in order to do that, we need to create a view, hot beverages, and within that view, we selected all of the things within the menu table, so menu ID, menu description, menu size in ounces, menu temperature, and menu price. And then we wanted to make sure that it was specifically just where Mr. Jin was the owner. And then it says right here that the table was created, and then I did show tables, but I could just go right ahead and do that again to prove that it did work correctly. As you could see in our MySQL command line, there is a hot beverages as a table. And then we could just gonna go right ahead and demonstrate what is within that table to make sure that it is only our hot beverages. And as you can see, it's only beverages with the menu temperature of 160. But then we do have to go in and demonstrate that Mr. Jin only has access to this table view and not anything else. So in order to do that, we needed to open up a command prompt. And I went right ahead and did that once I got to the MySQL and entered in the password right here. I did use Black Cat Cafe, and then I showed the tables, and the only table he could see was a hot beverage table. And then when we did select that table, he was able to see all the proper information and nothing else. And then I also did the extra credit work. So the first one asks us if Leia has ordered a hot beverage of 16 ounce Americano and received something 23 minutes later, on what day did she order her drink? So this one I could just go in and copy and paste it and then explain it. So for this, I did select orders from order dates from order. And then I also wanted to include menu because over here we're gonna want to do the menu description to make sure, like to specify that she ordered an Americano and that it was of size 16. And then we also selected from orders that it had to be a prep time of 23, and then these were all within the where statement. So we know we wanted to select an order date, but we wanted to do it specifically for the specific menu description, menu size, and order prep time. And then we also wanted to make sure that the menu ID from the menu table aligned with the menu ID from the orders table. And once we did that, we'd see that the only order description that aligned with this was ordered on 2020 10/01, so October 1st of this year. And actually went right ahead and made sure that that was true. Orders table. Here we could go ahead and make sure that that was true by looking at our orders table. And as you could see on that day, this it was order ID. We know for the Americano 16 ounce was menu ID too, so we could just go ahead and make sure that it's menu ID 2, and then for that date, it was a 23-minute prep time. So that looks good. Secondly, we were asked if a drink coupon given to a customer is worth $5, how much have all black cafes lost in the month of October? So for that one, I wrote this simple query line. And what does it just specifies the count for the coupons issued. And then I also selected the cafe ID. And then from orders where the coupon issued is equal to Y, because we don't want to count coupons the rows where coupons weren't even issued. And then we specified that it was any date, greater than November 1st, because as you could see, our data starts in October. So all I had to say is that we wanted to look at data before November. And as you could see, the only cafe that actually issued any coupons for the month of October was the cafe with the ID of 1, and they did issue just 3 coupons, so that means that they lost $15.